Left is 18-year-old Jason Goolsby. Standing to my right is 18-year-old Michael Brown. The reason we are here today is because 3 days ago, on the evening of October 12, 2015, Jason and Michael were brutalized by the Metropolitan Police Department for literally no other reason than the fact that they are black. This incident occurred just minutes after they had spent time at a local boot camp in Southeast DC, where they were going through orientation to become volunteers to help troubled youths and to guide them in, among other things, safe sex and preventing games. Within minutes of completing that orientation to give freely of their time to help others, they were treated like common criminals, handcuffed, physically and psychologically brutalized, and then told almost 2 hours later, quote, "It was a misunderstanding, you are free to go." No charges, no warnings, and no apology. The main involved Metropolitan Police Department officer looked Jason in the eye and said that a woman who had seen Jason and his two friends at an ATM machine called the police and said she felt, quote, "uncomfortable," unquote. Before discussing this incident, I want you to know these two fine young men to my left and right. Without exception, they exemplify all of the values that each of us wishes to instill in our own children. Jason Goolsby is a freshman at the University of the District of Columbia. He's a proud graduate of the charter class of the Richard Wright Public Charter School for Journalism and Media Arts, which is just a few blocks from where this incident took place. Richard Wright's educational focus is to create great writers, journalists, and productive citizens, and to empower students to become creative, innovative thinkers regardless of their ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or gender. Jason was born with God-given musical talent, which he discovered at the tender age of 6. And beginning early in his career at Richard Wright, he started to use those talents in the most positive ways one can imagine. In a few minutes, I'll be showing you a music video written, produced, and performed by Jason entitled "My School is So Awesome," written about his high school. I encourage you to listen carefully to each and every lyric of that song, and I will let you draw your own conclusions about the values embodied by Jason in his music. He wrote and produced that video while in the 9th grade. Jason was an ambassador for his high school. As an ambassador, he was part of a group invited by First Lady Michelle Obama to participate in a career in music and film symposium at the White House. Jason has also been an ambassador for DC Show Off, which is a youth social marketing campaign that encourages DC youth to share their aspirations, dreams, talents, friendships, and personal style via social media. The campaign engages youth in activities that develop their leadership skills and cultivate self-awareness in their decision-making. Jason played on his high school football and basketball teams. When he started high school, Jason was often picked on and bullied on his way to or from school. One time, while he was on his way to pick up some medicine for his brother, he was confronted and bullied by some neighborhood thugs. He saw a nearby police officer and begged him for help. The police officer would not do anything to help him. If you walk down the halls of Richard Wright High School, as I recently did, there are numerous pictures of Jason on those walls. His moral compass is impeccable. His desire to help other teen youths in this city is unparalleled. In fact, in mid-May, he attended an open meeting with Mayor Muriel Bowser. He did so because he cares about and loves this city. He actually asked her a question about the police in the district. And while acknowledging that many others his age have problems, he wanted to know how she was going to go about controlling the police in this district, in the wake of so many stories about police misconduct that have made national news. In a few minutes, you'll see photos of Jason performing at the Washington Convention Center at the DC Education Festival. Michael Brown, standing to my right, is a senior at Richard Wright currently. He too has given of himself in so many ways. As I mentioned earlier, just before the incident that brings us together today, Michael also had gone through an orientation at a boot camp for troubled teens, training to become a volunteer counselor in the areas of safe sex and preventing AIDS. Michael plans on attending college next year, focusing on graphic design and marketing. Michael also enjoys acting and has even gone so far as to put his acting towards good for society. I will also in a few minutes be showing you a video featuring Michael, which is a public service announcement against texting and driving. I will also show you photos of Michael at the White House, also at the invitation of First Lady Michelle Obama, for the Career in Music and Film Symposium that she hosted. Like Jason, Michael has zero criminal history. In the late afternoon of Monday, October 12th, Jason, Michael, and another friend got together and headed over to the boot camp I mentioned earlier for the three of them to go through orientation to become volunteers. The woman in charge of that program was so very appreciative of their willingness to volunteer that she took them out for a quick meal. It was her treat. Now, Jason had a studio session scheduled that evening for which he would have to pay $35. He had $15 in his wallet, so he and his friends walked across the street to the Citibank at the corner of 6th and Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast for Jason to use the ATM machine. There's a walk-in vestibule, as many of you have probably seen if you've visited the site, and as you walk in, to your right, there are two ATM machines. They went in, Jason pulled out his ATM card and was about to withdraw money from his account. At that time, he received a text message from the studio owner saying that something had come up and he had to postpone that session until the next evening. As Jason was contemplating whether or not to go ahead and withdraw money from the ATM, he saw outside of that vestibule on the street a family of three, a mother, a father, and a baby in a stroller, coming towards the bank, clearly intending to use the ATM machine. He saw that they might need help getting the stroller through the door, so he instinctively went over and held the door open for them. That family is white. Seconds later, he overheard the woman say to her husband that she had forgotten something in her car. The family left. No words were exchanged between Jason and his friends on the one hand and any members of that family on the other hand. Jason and his friends then left and walked left out of the bank heading towards 7th Street. They crossed Pennsylvania Avenue and continued to walk left. Jason was heading to a Metro bus stop near a Subway sandwich shop to catch the 90 Metro bus to go visit his brother at Howard University. As Jason was crossing 8th Street Southeast, suddenly he saw a white police SUV driving at a very high rate of speed directly towards him, which he perceived was trying to run him over. He jumped up on the curb just in time to avoid being struck by that SUV. He had absolutely no idea why a police vehicle would drive directly at him, but he was scared that he was going to be run over. That vehicle stopped, and a white MPD police officer got out of the car. He had one hand on his gun, and he had a pepper spray can in his other hand. He told Jason to get down on the ground or he would pepper spray him. Jason responded that he had not done anything wrong and that he was not going to get down because he knew what would happen to him if he did, meaning that he would be seriously injured by the officer. Jason had a backpack on his back with both arms fully through the straps, so the backpack was squarely on his back. He had a pair of light blue Beats headphones on as well. He was wearing a white t-shirt designed by his brother and a jean jacket, and it was daylight. Jason was well aware of the Freddie Gray incident, as well as numerous other stories of police brutality. He truly believed the officer was going to shoot him, since in his mind the officer had just tried to run over him with his car. Something is seriously wrong with a society where an innocent young black man feels safer trying to not be in the hands of a police officer than being in the hands of a police officer. And that is exactly what prompted Jason to run. Fear for his own life. He saw a hand on a gun, a hand on a pepper spray can, wielded by a man who had just tried to run him over. So he ran for his own safety, not wanting to die and become yet another casualty of police misconduct. He knew he had done nothing wrong. Jason had never been arrested in his life, let alone charged with a single crime. The police officer eventually tackled him. He had done nothing wrong. The horrific videotape of the incident speaks loudest about what happened next. Jason felt that the officer was trying to break his arm, and as you saw in the videotape, he was screaming in pain. The videotape was taken by Michael Brown, who repeatedly was yelling that Jason had done nothing wrong. The police also mistreated Michael, as you can see in the video. We have a full copy of that video, by the way, which continues well after Michael was attacked by the police. For almost 2 hours, Jason and Michael sat on the ground, their hands shackled behind their backs, having done absolutely nothing wrong. Jason repeatedly asked the officers, there were about 6 on the scene, what he had done, and they refused to tell him anything. All of the involved police officers were white. Eventually, a supervisor from the MPD arrived at the scene. After almost 2 hours, the officers removed the handcuffs from Jason and Michael and told them they were free to go. They said it was, quote, a misunderstanding. Once he was unshackled, Jason again asked the officers what he had done and why this had happened. The officer, who had originally also tried to run him over, chased him and almost broke his arm, said this, quote, a woman called and said that you made her feel uncomfortable. That is what caused this unspeakable series of events that will forever scar Jason and Michael. And it all happened because these young men are black. Under our laws, being black does not constitute probable cause to arrest or detain someone. Under our laws, being black does not constitute a reasonable or articulable suspicion to arrest or to detain someone. I have zero doubt that if these young men were white, none of this would have happened. Apparently, no one considered that Jason might actually have been at the bank to withdraw money from his bank account. He had his ATM card out when the family arrived at the bank. He thought it odd when the woman suddenly announced that she had forgotten something in the car and the 3 of them left. You can draw your own conclusions. I understand that the Metropolitan Police Department has issued a statement that the officers acted in accordance with MPD policies. If that is truly the case, then that is an even sadder commentary, because it shows that this problem is ingrained in the fabric of the police department and is endemic to the performance of their duties. And if that is the case, then a review and revision of those policies is long, long overdue. We are in the process of fully investigating this incident, and we intend to hold all culpable individuals, as well as the District of Columbia, responsible through whatever legal means possible. Jason suffered injury to his left shoulder, for which he has sought medical treatment, as well as other parts of his body. But the physical pain pales in comparison to the psychological and emotional pain that he and Michael suffered. This has to stop. This has to stop. And we hope and pray that this case will bring a better awareness to the public that something needs to be done and that status quo is wholly unacceptable in a civilized society. Now you see that I've got a screen to my right. I'd like to just show you a couple of photos and videos that I discussed earlier. This is Jason at Richard Wright School. This is Jason performing at the DC Education Festival. This is Jason also performing at the DC Education Festival. This is Michael Brown at the White House, I believe. This is Michael Brown on the left at the White House with Blake Lively. This is at the Michelle Obama event that I discussed earlier. And I'd like to play, if you would indulge me for a few minutes, I would appreciate it. I'd like to play the video and have you listen to the lyrics that Jason wrote.
Everything, the teacher's just the way we get it done around here. Just I feel so awesome. There ain't that awesome. Hands in the sky, my school's so awesome. Everything awesome. They couldn't keep up with my pace, so I lost them. Ain't old enough to drive, so I'm walking. School is money these days, so it's costing. Ain't distracted by none of y'all talking. Getting this work done can't be exhausting. Ain't no excuse for me to be talking. Getting this work done is solving these problems. Cause I'm a good man, shout out to good man. We do a lot of work, you think you can. School is colorful, it's like a toucan. I'm a bright student, I can't get too bland. We have a nice school with a nice band. I get the crowd going like a hype man. When the haters talk, I tell them right man. And if it ain't richer, it ain't right man. You can teach stuff that really matters, like how to avoid disasters. Education is what matters, that's what we are trying to master. My school's so awesome, everything awesome. The teacher's just awesome, the way we get it done around here just awesome. I feel so awesome, ain't that awesome. I'ma read a book, that's what I'm proud to do. Just do the right thing, don't be bad at school. Don't talk back enough and watch your attitude, cause you might end up living on the avenue. Bumming for some change, looking all strange. Should've stayed in school, none your life changed. Should've used your head, better yet your brain. None your life wrecked, why you wanna complain? I'ma speak the truth, can't nobody stop me. You can just watch me, video by rock said time is ticking, but that don't mean clock me.
What in the world do y'all think y'all doing? This is Richard Wright Public Charter School. No, we do things in decency and in order. No, we ain't gonna have a party here, especially without her.
It ain't right, man, we teach stuff that really matters, like how to avoid disaster. Education is what matters.